Here, a clearly relaxed president felt at home.
In a sense, I know why my ancestors and many of your relatives left during the famine. But you know, when you're here, you wonder why anyone would ever want to leave. I mean it. So it's good to be back.
It was, however, also the venue for the first gaffe of the presidential visit. Paying tribute to his distant cousin Rob Kearney, a former Irish rugby international, he said this.
You see this tie I have with the shamrock on it? This was given to me by one of these guys, right here. He was a hell of a rugby player, and they beat that little black and tans. Oh, God.
Clearly confusing New Zealand's All Blacks for the reviled British paramilitary force, the Black and Tan.
Come out, you black and tans, come out and fight me like a man. Show your wife how you won medals down in Flanders. Tell her how the IRA made you run like hell away from the green and lovely lanes of Killashandra,
which tried to brutally suppress Irish independence. It was a blip on a day the proud Irish American otherwise appeared to enjoy.
Look at this. Air Force One. Right here. That's pretty cool, man.
Imagine
a podcast
where time drifts slowly.
A podcast
where
Isaac
carries you away.
So let me be clear. We tortured some folks.
Hey, hi, hello, it's Isaac. Welcome back to Coexist Inc. Did you miss me? I'm in Dublin right now, and after spending almost 2 weeks in Ireland, I have to say that no country suffers more from the American need for ancestral heritage than Ireland. Because of this longing, the tiny island is overrun with tourists. And while the locals will happily take your money and indulge you in what they call paddywhackery, basically playing the Disneyland fantasy of a country of 1,000 welcomes, where you can tell the locals that your great-grandparents once came from a small town you cannot pronounce, they will not respect you. And in fact, they might despise you. Ireland is full of hyphenated Americans who are looking for some kind of belonging because they do not have it in America. The American obsession with heritage is a kind of subconscious self-loathing. It is not enough to be American. It is not enough to have it all. No, we must be Irish or Italian or European, even though we have no relationship to those places. We gave that all up when we entered the American diaspora. And the Irish do not see you as their brethren. You left. They do not blame you for leaving. For many, it was not a choice. And a lot of those who left, it was luck that they made it at all. The famine looms large here, even 2 centuries later. You can see it in their portions. I saw it in my first and last spice bag, which is basically 5 pounds of sugary French fries and fried chicken in a massive paper bag. I have no personal Irish heritage, as far as I know, so I am not at risk at falling into those tourist traps. However, the Irish do have a special place in my heart. I associate them with rebellion and revolution and humor. And my time here has not been disappointing in that regard. They are still all of those things. But I want to know how to properly spend my time here in Ireland. To help guide me, I am joined by Kieran of Cornerspatey, a native Dubliner. Also, in a handful of days, I will have a part 2 of my trip to Ireland with a man named Tom. He leads a 1916 rebellion walking tour of Dublin, and we will talk about the revolutionary history of Ireland and whether we can apply it to the modern world. Also, I've made a new t-shirt, and I think you're going to love it. It has a 4-leaf clover on it, and it says, "Kill me, I'm Irish American." It's the perfect gift for your uncle who encouraged you to give up your DNA to 23andMe. Enjoy the show. I'm trying to think like what the worst recording disaster I ever had was. Not just doing a show, but throughout my journalistic career.
It's always just like losing the recording. It's always like that. That's the worst fucking feeling in the world. Like, I podcast with my friends, and it is always just like a good time to hang out with my friends. And then at the same time, it's just like, it's like the closest I feel to like, as someone who doesn't drive, to road rage. I'm just like, when the recording is gone, I'm just like, fuck this, fuck you, fuck everyone. I'm going to blow up this fucking city.
I had the one that comes to mind, and it's not like that big of a deal, but it did portend the end of my first co-host's future with me. Not as a friend, but as a colleague. We were doing we went to a midget wrestling together.
Oh, sure.
And I know that the midget is not the proper nomenclature, but that's what it was called, and that's how they referred to themselves, not as little people.
Yeah.
And he and I interviewed one of the stars, and it was kind of a weird interview, but there was one really good line that made the whole show worthwhile, which was when I asked him, do you have a slur for like normal sized people?
Oh yeah, that's what to find out too.
And he said, yeah, we call you guys biggers.
No.
Yeah.
No.
And I lost it.
Yeah.
I lost that. It was such a good one, and it's gone forever. And
that's so good too.
Yeah, I know. Just for that one line.
Yeah.
Because it was really hard to get. He was not the most shocker, reflective person in the world.
Yeah, sure, but like at the same time, we were just talking about how everything has to be fucking clips now for TikTok, Instagram Reels, God forbid YouTube Shorts, and like that's one right there, right? Just like interviewing. I'm sure they refer to themselves as little people, but I understand the name of the event was midget wrestling.
Midget Mania.
Okay.
Technically.
That's pretty solid branding, especially for a wrestling event. But like that would have been a great clip. Just having the word hard R and everything.
He was black. So.
Yeah, but like, can we call ourselves with like a soft R?
What's up, my bigger?
Yeah, like what? No, I don't feel comfortable doing it.
Well, we'll see if this makes the cut or anything else. I'm here in Ireland. I'm joined by my new good friend, Kieran.
Hello.
Is that the right way to say it?
Kieran. Yeah.
Kieran.
Yeah.
Kieran. Because in America it's Kieran.
Yeah, like Kieran Culkin.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Kieran.
Because it's the difference between the English and the Irish spelling.
Right. We're in a very fancy hotel.
Yeah.
And Kieran is on a fainting couch. He called it a chaise lounge, which kind of
chaise longue, I believe.
Chaise longue. Yeah. So you're kind of getting a feel for who Kieran is. I've actually we've talked once before. I was on your show, Cornish Beatty, and we talked about Israel and music festivals.
Yes. Particularly Psytrance.
Yes, it was the Psytrance episode.
Yeah.
And so Kieran is now returning the favor, and he's jumping on the show, and we're talking about Ireland and the Irish. Yes. So, Kieran, besides having the proper Irish Kieran name, can you give me your Irish credentials?
I am from here. It's like the big one.
Is that enough for you guys these days?
I think so. Yeah. Like we have a very different. We got rid of birthright citizenship a long time ago, unfortunately. But I think like mentally, I think we're like more committed to it as like a thing of just like, Asher, you're born here. I think there's like an accent politics to it as well. Like I think a lot of people will immediately accept you as Irish if you have the accent, regardless of any other like religion, skin color, whatever.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What if it's a bad accent? Like if I tried one?
No, like if you did it rather than it being your accent, yeah, that's a problem.
Because when I was in Japan, if I really like overemphasized it, they could understand me actually. So if I did the accents, it wouldn't go over well but not in like a funny way, but like a genuine way. I am noticing I am starting to say things with a little bit more sing-songiness after
All
being
right.
here.
It takes a couple of years usually, I think. Like it's infectious. Like I have a colleague who for the life of me, I did like when I first met her, I did not know she was Polish. Like at all. There was nothing about it. It was just like she's like more Dublin sounding than I am by any stretch of the imagination. It was also like because the accent politics was something I'm often accused of because two other Irish people I sound American. Two Americans I don't, but like it's just an annoying thing. Yeah, but yeah, Irish credentials. I am Irish. I've moved around this island quite a bit. I'm from Cork, but I don't sound like it.
What does a Cork person sound like?
Usually a bit more higher register. You would pronounce things boy as like bye. I still do the thing of like all comparatives and hypothetical sentences end with like. So like, a good example of that, like, oh, there's one. But I also lived in Limerick. Again, don't have that accent. Yeah, I'm just kind of, unfortunately, I've got like a bit of a South Dublin accent because I moved to South Dublin when I was 12. Yeah, and then so I moved around a lot. I know a lot about this country, except for the north, because I'm part of a generation that was just kind of like forced not to think about the north and kind of disown them effectively as a fucking filthy free stater. Yeah. Oh, you're gonna learn so many terms.
I can't wait. When I told people I was on the internet that I was going to go to Dublin, the general reaction to other Irish people was, "It's a fucking shithole." The
nation,
the city of Dublin in particular. A lot of Dubliners, or at least people who lived in Ireland, a lot of them were people who don't live in Ireland anymore. I was kind of shocked by how many people say I used to live here, and now you were explaining why, and we'll get into that. But they were telling me Dublin's a shithole.
Sure.
Is that a common refrain?
Yeah, but like I think that's every country. Like you have to understand, it's like one universal thing, particularly in I'd say any country, probably the West, is your kind of like New York has fallen Facebook groups kind of shit. Like Dublin is the biggest city, and thus I think a certain degree of like overblowing like the issues with Dublin. Like one of the things that I've talked to coworkers about is like like crime is falling like across the country, and including Dublin. There isn't like a spike in Dublin, and it's like,
was it particularly bad at one point?
Yeah. There's been periods of times where it's been bad for sure. But like in general, like the rate of crime is just going down, and like it's something they just don't believe, because like crime reporting. I have my like political beliefs that like crime reporting, it should be illegal. I don't think it's actually. I don't think anyone gets told about a crime happening, like a murder or a theft or whatever, and like it informs them as a citizen. I don't really see the point of it. It just does what stats and studies have shown over and over again, which just makes people like more paranoid and aggressive to their fellow man. Anyway, Dublin's fine. I think there's so many issues with Dublin, but really I think they will mostly manifest when you try to live here, not when you visit. Yeah, and then like, what does the rest of the country have to fucking offer? It's like if you really like a kind of rural, quiet existence, and like we were talking earlier, the rest of the country is like really quite beautiful. Sure, but I like living in cities. I would probably love to live in. I'd go for like Cork or Galway as well as nice cities, but I like Dublin well enough. Yeah. Shithole, overstated. I don't think. Actually, you know what? Fuck it. Humanity's great. Nowhere's a shithole. Like that's my take.
Have you ever been to Dubai?
Okay, Dubai, yeah, but Dubai is devoid of humanity. Like, that's the kind
Yeah,
of,
okay.
like,
I think that's a good point. Anywhere where there is love and culture, I think is spared of the term shithole.
I think as someone probably stereotypically who lived a lot of my life in Berlin and felt very at home there, I'm one of those people who immediately finds clean cities inherently suspicious. Like, a clean city is just like, all right, show me your Gestapo. It's just like,
Yeah.
like, Singapore is clean, but I love chewing gum. Fuck it. Like,
Yeah, Japan, very clean.
Japan's very clean. That seems to be like maybe the one exception, but I've never been.
No, they're Nazis.
Yeah, sure.
They're Nazis. But not like so hateful. Like their sort of like violent prejudice is not born of a kind of hatred. It's born of like a pure form of superiority.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting. But we're not here to talk about Japan.
No.
We are here to talk about Ireland. And one of the things you asked me when I first reached out to you is like you're very curious about like the American interpretation of Irish niceness. The land of 1,000 smiles, isn't that what they call it? You guys? Welcomes, 1,000 welcomes.
Comes from Céad Míle Fáilte, which is the Irish for like you're very welcome. Which is literally 100,000 welcomes. And
I gotta say, you guys are pretty friendly.
Yeah. So one of my things that I would always say about that, because I'm very skeptical of. I would generally say that like the one thing that I cannot fault Ireland on is its people. Unfortunately, like everyone's like a good conversationalist, everyone's good crack. I have friends here and stuff like that. I can't pay my rent with that, so like that really only goes so far. Whereas like Berlin, everyone's kind of like miserable. But like I could afford rent. I do think that a lot of like our niceness is incredibly surface level. I would put it as we're very polite. Like we are going to have a nice little we're good at small talk. We can do small talk with you when we don't really know you, blah, blah, blah. But then the other side of it as well that I always found very nasty is we are judgmental and relentless gossips. Like the term... It's a term that I've heard in Ireland and the UK a bit, but I don't think everyone knows it, which is the term curtain twitcher.
Never heard of it.
Yeah. So curtain twitcher, like you'll immediately kind of understand it when you hear it. It's like the neighbor who watches you and is like preying on your downfall, like through the curtains, like constantly checking up on you and like judging you constantly because you put out the bins wrong or your dogs are too loud or you have children.
Interesting.
And the house is a bit messy. Like, to put it for instance, I currently live in a very beautiful part of the city, the former Jewish neighborhood. People can figure out where that is very quickly. And the average house value now, even though they're tiny as fuck, I believe is about 700K. Not worth it. It's right by the canal. Place is lousy with the rats. But nothing is worth the value that it's actually. Okay, can't go on. My daughter at like age 5 for Christmas drew a bunch of like Christmas drawings. They were all over the place. Some of them were just like dinosaurs wearing Christmas hats. And she drew them on paper. We cut them out. She stuck them in the window for like the window face in the street. A couple of days later, we get a letter in the post box saying, "This is a neighborhood for all. You can take those down. I don't want to see them. They're fucking children's drawings. Get the fuck over yourself." Like, that's particularly, I think, like, very particular.
Were they just like sloppy swastikas? They wanted some like neater ones? I don't understand what the problem could have been.
It's such a, like, there is such a real judginess that I think occurs here.
So it's just bad art. Your daughter's not there yet.
Like I don't want to see this. Like, you have to, like, I think as an American, you're probably aware of the like tiny fascism that it could occur in like a HOA.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's that without the HOA. It's
It's like a country of HOAs.
Yeah, it's just like it's various like Mussolini's banditaries running around without
But
a
like,
leader.
what
kinda like,
power do they actually have besides just
none.
like guilting
It's
you?
just complaining.
It's just
and,
complaining.
Yeah, making you feel not welcome, basically.
Interesting.
Just whereas in stark contrast to another place I know that had like a very different culture, is Berlin was just a lot of just like leaving everyone else the fuck alone. But there's also like zero stake in you as a person because they just don't give a shit about you, kind of thing.
Interesting.
And that's liberating in a way. Whereas Ireland is a very little, and I know this is very like South Dublin thing. It is a very like small town type of thing. There are places I'm sure in this country where you can escape that, but like, yeah, I didn't miss it.
So yeah, they're like vendettas, like clans who have like upset each other because of their children's drawings that go on for centuries.
Yeah, I think the one that I think a lot of people put way too much stock into as a thing is people talk about cultures and context, like how direct is your culture versus how indirect it is. Like I think people always play those recordings of like a South Korean like airplane that crashed because the co-pilot didn't want to like tell the pilot he was fucking up. Whereas like I do think, well, I don't put like people put a huge amount of stock in saying like, oh, you can map every culture on like how context driven they are, like how much is implied and how much is direct. I don't put a huge amount of stock in it, but I do think it is true of Ireland that we are a little bit more context-ish, in the sense of like everything will be a bit more implied and subtle and less direct, and we find directness kind of upsetting. Particularly, Americans are very ready to compliment each other, and Irish people just like bristle at that. Of just like, no, we're all dirt. Stop it. Yeah, and then like, but with that comes a lot of like, a German will tell you what their problem with you is. An Irish person will talk behind your back, and that lack of clarity can be really like, oh, I can eat away at you. Like,
Yeah, I feel like I'm a mixture of both of those things, but I think I would prefer a certain kind of directness. I think that's why I love New York City so much.
oh yeah,
Is because everyone says, "Oh, it's so mean." I'm like, "No, it's not. People just they're more honest with you."
yeah. You've probably seen the meme of like, the quadrant of like, axe mean is actually nice, axe mean is actually mean, axe nice is actually
Yeah.
and like, yeah, I think Ireland, or at very least Dublin, well, maybe Dublin, I guess, as just again the big city has the reputation of being a bit more brash. But like, I think Ireland kind of falls more into the category of axe nice is actually mean, more than I think Berlin was kind of, at least.
Axe mean is actually nice.
Yeah, and I get that impression from people who live in New York as well, of axe mean is actually nice.
Yeah, I think Japan would be axe nice is actually nice. Like they are. They are actually very nice.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't know. There's like this pleasantness here that I've experienced, and partly because I've been in the country. I've barely spent much time in the city.
Yeah.
I have no. I mean, I think this neighborhood there are lots of immigrants here, and I wonder if there is a similar sort of American or a corollary to the American anti-immigrant sentiment happening here in Ireland.
It's definitely being like ginned up, but it is, I would say, quite new, in the sense of like, so one of the things is, I swear to God, this is related. One of the reasons that I'm on Blue Sky is because a lot of Irish posters went to Blue Sky quite readily, because I think in the English speaking world, Ireland has always been a bit of a conundrum for what is clearly foreign agitation. Like, they really do not know how to talk like us. And it's every Twitter just became, as soon as they brought in the blue checks and the like, you pay for engagement kind of shit, and it became a bit more like Elon Musk reaching his heart out to the public. Every kind of like Irish interaction to a lot of people just became the three finger scene from fucking Inglorious Bastards.
Drei Gläser.
One classic example I had of that was there was a far right demo in Dublin ages ago. No, sorry, it was in Belfast, and someone basically pretending to be Irish, just quote tweeted the video and said, "Look at this, Catholics and Christians marching together." And everyone just immediately responded with the three fingers things like, American, right there. They're not Christians, they're Protestants. Catholics are also Christian. What the fuck are you talking about? So there is this kind of like, there's definitely been a rise in it in recent years. And it has made me kind of very aware of how the kind of like online. When I moved to Berlin, there was a lot of discussion about like what will the far right in Ireland look like, because there was a lot of avenues you could have gone. Traditionally, it was kind of very Francoist, very kind of like Catholic fascism, right? To be Catholic is to be Irish is to be Catholic, and a very conservative form of Catholicism. Then there were kind of more like, then there was also the era of like the COVID denial stuff that was kind of getting very esoteric, and like, you know, frontman of a neo-Nazi punk band boyfriend, yoga girlfriend, both equally kind of fascist. There was that. And then there was the one that has definitely won out, which is American online runoff of like, the far right in this country just talks so much like Yanks. It is just because of the various economic crises in the country, particularly with housing and rent. We are a society that's primed for a particular type of online poisoning, because you can't afford to do anything else. Basically, you work and work and work to get a house, to get an apartment. What else can you do? Stay in online every night. There's like, your social life just gets absolutely fucking decimated. And that has definitely led to this very kind of like right wing that is very American influenced, a little bit British as well. The British kind of traditionally, that like during the Cold War, the CIA wasn't here, but MI6 definitely was. So it's always been very kind of like, the Americans have always left Ireland to the Brits. You will handle them and make sure they don't become communists, blah, blah, blah. So there's a little bit of that coming in. Some of that's not working. Like some of the like far right cranks have gone down the like transphobia route that's very British, and then some of them have like not, because being perceived to be British is very much a third rail. So that kind of like anti-immigrant sentiment is coming in, but it feels, I think maybe I'm of a certain age, but it just feels so aggressively foreign, because I grew up with the kind of like, the big immigration wave, I think would have been like, the noticeable one would be 2004, when a bunch of Eastern European countries joined the European Union, and we were probably the least hostile to them, like Western European country. And thus we got like there's now like a substantial Polish-Irish population. I believe they're still are actually the largest non-Irish passport holders in the country is Polish people. And they were kind of like, and it was kind of just this thing of like, because we have this history of everyone leaving, that there was this little bit of like almost flattery of like, oh, people want to come here? Oh my God, what? So there was like a little bit of that. There was definitely like fetishization for sure. There was like guys talking about like, oh, I'm going to get myself a blonde Polish wife, blah, blah, blah. But like, and that's like not, woke. But like, yeah, I it's definitely, what's oddest of it all is that it's culminated with actually the Ukrainians. We, I believe, have the largest per capita Ukrainian refugee population in the world, basically, after like the invasion in 2022. But what's interesting thing that happens in these far right circles is they take the number of refugees in Ireland, which are mostly white. There's like there's actually a substantial amount of American refugees now. It's like
Yeah, I know a few.
yeah, it's gone up 900%, and there's definitely people coming from America who I know personally who are not going through the refugee system because they could, or asylum seeker system because they could afford to avoid it, basically, which I would recommend.
You know Ellen DeGeneres? Is she a friend of yours?
Who else is the other one that Trump gets angry at all the time who lives here now?
Rosie O'Donnell?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, at least she's got the O'Donnell.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
DeGeneres, some fucking Frenchie over here.
We'll talk about this with the refugee versus tourism thing, because it's just like, I think Nick put it to me once on Cornish Radio. Like, are you guys not concerned about the American refugees? Like, no, I think we've actually done the safe bet that everyone that comes over here as a tourist is awful. Everyone who comes over here as a refugee is probably sound, is probably okay, regardless of their last name.
Except for Ellen DeGeneres.
Except for Ellen DeGeneres, sure.
Great.
It's one woman. What can she possibly do?
That's what they said in the lyrics.
This is how it starts, Gerard. Stop the boats. Yeah, we're going back to a certain degree of welcomeness. It's definitely gotten worse. And yeah, what I was saying is I've definitely seen the far right conflate the number of Ukrainian refugees and try to pass them off as if they're all Syrian. And it's there are more Belgians in Ireland than there are Syrians. And then they'll go film in near around the neighborhood I live in because that's where the mosque in Dublin is, and thus it looks like there's more Muslims.
America does the same bullshit.
Yeah.
Where when you ask someone how many Muslims actually live in America,
Yeah.
and when you tell them there are more Jews in America than there are Muslims, they are utterly shocked because they thought that Sharia law was about to happen.
Yeah, and then they
everywhere.
become fascist in a different way.
Yeah, so there are still some, and maybe it's because of the Irish influence on America. Maybe you guys did all this stuff.
Yeah,
I don't know yet.
Noel Niamh's When the Irish Became White is a fantastic read, if you haven't read it.
Oh, maybe we can ask that question. When did the Irish become white?
As far as I know, it still hasn't happened, actually. I'm a person of color. So the Noel Niamh's argument is, it's titled When the Irish Became White, but it's really about the break from the diaspora in America from the Irish in Ireland. And it was, so we're not too far from O'Connell Street, named after Daniel O'Connell. So Daniel O'Connell wrote all these proclamations and speeches and notices and stuff directed at the Irish diaspora in the United States to be against slavery, to be for emancipation, basically. There was this common cause, particularly in Ireland, between Ireland's subjugation under the British with slavery in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Really not quite comparable situations before we get into the Irish were the first slaves kind of right-wing bullshit, but room for solidarity. And basically the Irish and the Americans kind of took to this positively for a bit, and then literally just decided, no, hang on. We will get rewarded by the society if we just hate black people. And they're sick.
Like a uniquely American thing, though.
Oh,
right?
yes. Yeah. So,
which I think you could apply to every fucking diaspora in America.
So I think one thing that I would think about, one thing I read recently, it's for anyone who thinks I'm an intellectual, I'm not. It's a comic. It was it's Kate Beaton's comic Ducks, and it's about the years she spent, she's a cartoonist from Canada. It's about the years she spent working in the oil sands in Alberta. Which relies on all this kind of very transient labor, most of which comes from Atlantic Canada, Halifax, Nova Scotia, this kind of side of Canada, which is predominantly Irish Canadian. And she's very good at actually describing the Irish Canadian experience. And I would say, as a diaspora, they are very similar to what's still going on in Ireland. She had one phrase that completely floored me at the time. That was this is the Irish experience currently. She was coming from, I believe it was Nova Scotia or Newfoundland, I can't remember. Nova Scotia, let's say, for argument's sake. She was when you are from Nova Scotia, you can have a future or you can have a home, but you cannot have both. It was basically, you can stay in Nova Scotia and live in squalor, or you can fuck off to Ontario, Vancouver, the oil sands in Alberta to have a future. And I was that sounds exactly kind of what contemporary Irishness is, certainly since like independence. And then it's at the same time like it's like, okay, but why is this so different in the United States? My take on that would be the Irish landed in Canada outside the center of power. The center of power in Canada is the kind of like stretch between Toronto and Montreal. Like that little stretch of land there, that is the power center that is the core of Canada. The core of the United States is where the Irish landed. It's New England. You're kind of like Philadelphia stretch up to Boston, New York included. Arguably, people have said it's like the core has shifted to kind of like the Sun Belt, like California to Texas, Texan oil, Californian tech.
Those are the Scotch Irish.
We'll talk about the Scotch Irish in a second. They're fucking hilarious. So it's this kind of thing of like, yeah, the Irish Americans did a lot better because they landed in the part of the United States where money was to be made and where like
so they got to make the home in the future.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas like, oh God, like the entire like Atlantic side of Canada was like, your entire future is just be a fisherman, and let's hope that doesn't go like shit the bed at some point, and it did. Yeah, and of course that all happened because of like the famine. You'll see similar things with like Irish Australians kind of landed where the money is to be made in Australia, or like they landed in the part of Australia where you become like nouveau riche, so you're still kind of like wealthy, but everyone thinks you're a jackass, which is Perth, I guess, where you just like mine until you have enough money. Yeah.
I think that's the disappointing thing too. I feel as I mean, obviously America is a nation of diasporas.
Yeah.
And I am of the opinion, and I know Nick shares this with me, that diasporas are all evil. And I guess I look at the Irish with the maybe rose-tinted glasses because of your history of rebellion. You know, you are like the first like English colony, right?
Yeah. First, to put the clarifying point on that, the first resource extraction colony.
Okay.
So they're like, obviously, you know, settling of the New World happened and Australia happened before Irish kind of colonialism really took off. But like, we were the first one where it's like, we don't actually have to put people here. We can just take their shit and bring it back to the metropole. So not the first colony as compared to what happened to the United States, which was like land, take the land. More like first colony when compared to like India and Nigeria, where it's like, we're not really going to take the land, but we're going to take your shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
But there's always been this romantic, revolutionary rebelliousness to Irish people, not Irish Americans, obviously, that I adore. And as I've been traveling the country, I'll see plaques memorializing martyrs. You guys even call them martyrs.
Yeah.
And the language is so beautiful and flowery. And I wish that leftists in America could talk like this because it might be more enticing to people. And then, of course, you have Che Guevara and like the legend like of his blood. And I always wondered what would have happened if Che was alive for the Troubles. Would he like come and
like,
help out?
An Argentinian battalion is like suddenly in like
so
Derry.
Sick.
Yeah,
that'd be so sick. And then. And of course, like with this like spirit, so Che has the blood of the revolutionary Irish in him, but so do the fucking cops in Chicago.
Yeah.
And so once you cross over that line into America, it's all gone. I mean, you are forced into a kind of subservience to the machine, it feels like.
There's other countries that kind of emulated that. It's worth pointing out that like there were, so Irish diaspora kind of went all over, and I talked very romantically about the Canadian Irish, probably because I broadly say most of them are fine, probably because they're more obsessed with being from their particular region of Canada rather than claiming they're really Irish. But at the same time, then there's like Irish who went to the UK fully became a part of the imperial machine. Irish who went to South Africa were very happy to be white. Irish who went to Australia were very happy to be white as well. Irish who went to like Latin America as well. Like there's this, there's things like the first head of the like Argentinian Navy was like an O'Duffy or something like that. And
Duffy.
I don't quote me on that, but he was like of Irish extraction. But like, and people are like, oh, that's kind of romantic. But it's like, no, he was partaking in like a colonial project. Like Argentina was also a colonial project,
Right. So the indigenous people weren't white in Argentina, you mean?
God no. So yeah, diasporas are evil. Like it's generally like America more so because I'm on the tippy top of this little pile of shit.
Right.
But like, yeah, it happens in the rest of the world. I know I know Nick is obsessed with like Greek Australians, for instance. Like they're vile.
With the Irish, I'm not Irish as far as I know.
Sure.
Which was a funny question they asked me at the Epic Museum of Immigration, and I think they were expecting everyone to say, "Yeah, of course I am."
Yeah. That's where we get our money.
But the Irish American imagination of their ancestors of Ireland is even weirder, I think.
Yes.
They don't really much care for the rebellion or the Troubles. I don't think that figures in their imagination. I know the famine does, and that's why I think a signifier, a shibboleth, perhaps, is if someone calls it the potato famine.
Oh yeah,
it's just like that's not what that is.
It's an American.
Right?
That's an American talking.
Yes, it's just called the famine. The famine.
Ungor Timor, the big hunger. And then like the truly woke thing to say would be like it's not a famine, because one crop failed, and the potato crop failed in all of Western Europe. It also failed in the United States because it's a disease that actually comes from New England, Philadelphia kind of area, I believe, originally is where the potato blight is from, or first instances of the potato blight. And it's like, okay, why didn't the rest of those countries have famines? It was like, well, they were allowed to eat other things. Potato had only been introduced to Ireland like 200 years prior. We had other food, but it was all being shipped off to London. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, the Irish Americans' understanding of the rising and the Troubles, I don't think it's fair to say it doesn't factor in, but they usually are missing a lot of context. For example, like most of the guns the IRA had was like with like Irish American money being sent over. Like Catholic churches in Massachusetts as recently as like 1995 were still passing the hat around, like for like send some money over to like Belfast or Derry or whatever. So they're all kind of very pro it, but I think that all got like turned through this American lens because 1916 becomes immediately comparable to the American War of Independence, which is like, well, no, there's actually a lot of differences between those two events and like their context and stuff, but like they start viewing these things in the same way that like every American is told to view like the founding fathers and like fighting the British in the 13 colonies or whatever. And just very different things. Like really like the American War of Independence from the Irish perspective, like in Ireland, is just like, I'm in charge now. Like nothing really changes. It's just like, well, why are we paying these fucking Brits? Like fucking, it's not like none of those like powdered wigged fucking guys in like Virginia were being oppressed. They were just like, what if I had the money? Like was just basically it. It's like, whereas like Connolly has some fucking stories. Like they're all like treated like absolute. The people who took part in 1916 were being treated like absolute shit and didn't have full political or democratic rights, basically. Yeah. So I do think it just gets like redigested into, and then becomes more easily aligned with white nationalism. Because I think one of the big things missing in Ireland when it comes to fascism is the glorious past. very hard to convince Irish people there was a glorious past in which we can return to. At best, you're like, the mid-90s? I don't know what you're talking. Yeah, no, those are problems.
Human sacrifice. You guys are big on that for a little bit.
We were big on that. We were also big on like divorce law being kind of chill or whatever. Like those people are just like not willing to go back to like Breton law or whatever. Yeah, so it just gets like, best way I can describe it is like a Chinese takeaway in like Ohio. Like, I guess it's kind of Chinese food, but it's been the recipes have been adjusted for local tastes. Yeah.
Yeah. So I went to not per your recommendation, but I went to this museum called Epic, which it was always it felt weird because I was trying to find a famine museum.
Yeah,
and I was
fair.
just doing like cursory Google searches, and
Yeah.
because it was near those statues,
Yes.
which are quite
Those are good
harrowing.
statues.
Yes, those are good statues.
Want another harrowing fact about it? They're not atomically accurate because atomically accurate famine walkers wouldn't be able to hold themselves up as statues.
Well, the next one you guys will make will be just like crawling on the ground or something. But I assumed that those things were associated somehow.
Sure.
And
That's
I
fair.
was very wrong because
Yeah.
those statues were from 1999,
Mhm.
and this Epic Museum of Immigration is very new.
Oh, very, very new. I used to work in that building in like a startup that's long gone. And that building was a very different place back then. That like the Epping Museum is definitely like them scrambling for that building to be like commercially viable.
And it was expensive. I mean, oh man, I'll talk about the museum shop afterwards because it's a museum designed to tug at the heartstrings of Irish Americans. You called them paddywhacking?
Yeah, so I would call this type of tourism paddywhackery.
Paddywhackery.
Yes, which is just really playing up the old stage Irish, oh be God, be Jesus, aren't you fancy Americans coming over here and talking to me with your fancy Hollywood Mr. Tom Cruise speak. It all exists to part just an American called like Chad Dipley from his wallet. Like it's the reason why I don't know anything about this museum is because people who live here would not be caught dead being there unpaid. Like,
all right, well, let's start a GoFundMe to get Kieran to
yeah, you're paying me to go there. I demand $200K.
I am writing off my ticket as a business expense since we're talking about it on my show. But I go in immediately. I am a little weirded out just by the interior is strange.
Yeah.
And then the museum goes downstairs. I had to pee so bad, didn't think much about it. And then when they said it was €24. I was like, oh, fuck. And a very cheery ginger.
Yeah.
Which I gotta say, I haven't seen too many.
No, it's, I believe Denmark has more redheads than us.
Yeah, not too many gingers.
No.
Stereotype.
No,
out
the
the
most
window.
common hair color here is brown.
And he was asking everyone, so where are you from?
Yeah, because
are you Irish?
Because Chad
Irish?
Chad Dipley wants to say
Yes.
Yeah.
And when he asked me if I was Irish, I said no. And I think he wasn't used to it. So
he's not used to no. Why are you here?
Yeah, he's like, why are you here? And I was like, oh. And then he said, oh, I was like, where are you from? And I said, I'm from Florida. And he goes, oh, my mother moved to Florida. And I was like, oh, which part? And he said, Jacksonville. And I was like, oh, that's a shithole, man.
I am so sorry.
I was like, that's like one of the worst cities, dude. Don't go visit her. And he's like, and then I think he was also taken aback by that. I don't think, because that's not really small talk.
No, it's a little too honest.
Yeah. So
going back to that conversation.
Yeah, I'm not. Turns out I'm not so Irish. But the museum was very funny because it portrayed itself as it would talk about the famine but it was a very like cursory Wikipedia, like Google Gemini search result kind of museum.
Sure.
And it started not like the National Museum did, like in the Paleolithic era, like the history of Ireland.
Yeah.
It kind of just like vaguely entered you into like this notion that we are all over the place, right? To make you feel like welcome, being like, oh, you're coming home.
No, yeah,
You're coming
yeah.
home. You were from here at some point.
Yeah.
And there was a little emphasis on the Brits and the bad things that they did, although
Sure.
again it was incredibly neutral and made it seem just kind of like a matter of fact of history.
Mm-hmm.
And never talked about the Troubles.
Sure.
There was a brief moment about the famine, which they called the potato famine,
Yeah.
but barely addressed it.
Yes.
Paddywhackery.
Paddywhackery. Changing our language for the purpose of like an American gaze is always something that I get like so annoyed at. Because the other one would be referring to the language as Gaelic. Because that is a thing only the Americans do. When here, speaking English, you would say Irish. Yeah.
I made that mistake.
That's fine. You're an American.
I'm also not Irish.
But like, I hate when like the tourism board will put out ads that are clearly just like it just really makes it feel like the country's not for you as someone who lives in it, like and is from.
That's actually that's something I definitely want to talk about too. Wandering around Dublin and also being in like these tourist areas in the beautiful countryside, growing up in a beach town like Florida, which tourism is still a very important component of the Florida economy, although more than tourism now is just real estate and bringing people down. And making them move there.
To a state that mightn't exist in 20 years.
That's generous. That's a generous number, my friends.
Hurricane award, like one hurricane.
Honestly, a hurricane would save Florida. If a massive hurricane just wiped out half of Florida, it would actually save it because people would leave and then it could flourish. But growing up in a beach town, which was almost completely dependent on tourism, I always fucking hated tourists.
Yeah.
And it always made me feel there were kind of resentment I would have for people who would come when the weather was nice. Where it's just like, oh, you're not going to be here when it's hot as fuck.
You're not going to be here for the hurricane.
Yeah, you're not going to be here for the hurricane. Oh, the way I can't really talk about. I'll talk about this off mic with you, but like a dastardly plan my local friends and I have cooked up for a hurricane.
Oh, interesting.
But I'm wandering around Dublin too. I'm just like, damn, this place is just for other people.
Dublin is, and it's a stat that I have to roll around every time this topic comes up. Dublin is the 8th most touristed city in the world, as measured by population of tourists compared to population of people who live here full time. It's
brutal. I mean, it's bad.
Yeah.
It's really, really bad.
It's insidious because it is culture tourism rather than what like the two types would be like culture tourism versus natural tourism. What you were talking about is natural tourism. People are here for the beach. The beach is a natural phenomenon. Right. And plenty of places in Europe are that. That's a lot of like the Mediterranean is natural tourism.
I guess you could call the countryside out here.
A little bit of that. But like when I talk to most tourists who come in or people who visit, it's just like one of the big things. And why Temple Bar is such like a huge thing is like I want to go to a pub and drink Guinness, basically. I want to live the life that an Irish person was living maybe in the 90s. And that's like Berlin was the same. Tourists go to Berlin for the clubs because like Berlin made this like club scene that was
the donor. That's why I go.
Yeah. But then culture tourism is this thing that's like does kind of destroy it because you basically price the locals out of the culture that they helped build. Like Temple Bar is like I don't really know any Irish person who goes there now for like drinks. It's too expensive. It's not worth it. And when I grew up, like there were venues in Temple Bar. Like even Temple Bar was a bit touristy back then, but there were venues in Temple Bar where I would go see like a Californian metalcore band who'd paid like €5 to tour Europe play, and that was the kind of shit you could do in Temple Bar. And now it is just paddywhackery. Like 100%.
Yeah, it also makes it. I'm very uncomfortable in a place like this, where as a tourist, I find a hard way to not be one. And historically, what I would do to integrate myself into a place and cease being a tourist was play basketball in different places, and that was just a way to I want to hang out with locals. I don't want to go to a place where there are other fucking tourists.
Yeah, for sure.
And obviously these museums aren't so great.
No.
And yeah, that museum, goddamn, like the gimmick they have in the
just being
Museum
called
of
epic.
Emigration
Yeah.
is they give you a passport. I think I even have it here.
Oh, Jesus.
I'll give you a hint. They give you this passport, and in each room, you're supposed to stamp it to show that you've been there.
Uh-huh.
And
the fuck is this? What in the absolute fuck is this?
I should have had you come with me to this thing. It would have been really funny to talk about.
Here.
But so you move through. First,
they're made to look, for anyone who's looking at this, they're made to look like Irish road signs, but they are monolingual rather than bilingual. Yeah, because that's where we place like kilometer distance away from like, look, yeah, this is Jesus.
They have you go in room to room. It's mostly like videos, and I start reading and my eyes start crossing because it's just it was probably written by AI. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
And they move you through like the harrowing period, which is again is like your typical identity creating victim crisis sort of history that every identity needs to have. You know, you can't have. I don't think you can have identity without a sense of like a victimization.
Okay.
And then, of course, there's a happy ending in the end where it shows like all the things that the Irish people have done. Yes, they had Joe fucking Biden.
Joseph Obidon.
Here, a clearly relaxed president felt at home.
In a sense, I know why my ancestors and many of your relatives left during the famine. And, you know, when you're here, you wonder why anyone would ever want to leave. I mean it. So it's good to be back.
It was, however, also the venue for the first gaffe of the presidential visit. Paying tribute to his distant cousin Rob Kearney, a former Irish rugby international, he said this.
You see this tie I have with a shamrock on it? This was given to me by one of these guys right here. It was a hell of a rugby player, and they beat the hell out of the black and tans. Oh, God.
Clearly confusing New Zealand's All Blacks for the reviled British paramilitary force, the Black and Tans, which tried to brutally suppress Irish independence. It was a blip on a day the proud Irish American otherwise appeared to enjoy.
Look at this. Air Force One. Right here. That's pretty cool, man.
My favorite, though, the one that made me laugh the hardest was it showed like the Irish in the arts, and it had like cinema and Peter O'Toole, and then it had comedy, Colin Quinn. Laughed so hard.
Could we not? That's not even who I would. Surely the biggest name in American comedy of an Irish American that everyone you put
Rosie O'Donnell.
No, surely everyone you put that gun to their head, it's going to be Conan O'Brien, surely.
No, sorry.
We've had him in our tourism campaigns before. We've done like little videos of him in front of
the choice of Colin Quinn.
That's so weird.
Was very bizarre to me.
I mean, he has a very Irish name, but like
Conan O'Brien probably
also has a very Irish name. That's so fucking weird. That whole thing exists to get Chad Dipley's money. Like it's entirely it. Like it's not real. It does answer the question of like, how do you start a museum with nothing? Like most other museums are like, every other museum in the old world is very like, this was some toff's personal collection of like African skulls. Let's open it to the public. He's dead now. And that's like true of like Ireland's National Museum. It was like a lot of like rich people's private collections donated after their death, blah, blah, blah. And like you start a museum when you have like artifacts to show and archives and history to tell. But the Epic Museum is just like, we have nothing. And it fucking shows like so like the reason why it feels like AI, it may or may not be, but is because like so many AI things, it is just actually contentless in the sense of like there's nothing here, there's no interiority.
No, it was a big waste of 24 euro. I started going through it real fast when it dawned on me. I was like,
where that happened? Did that happen as
really
belief, conflict, Changing the game. Step 9. Storytelling 2. Oh, we had 2 Oh, that sucks. That's just bad.
I think one of the other interesting things too is they were definitely playing up like some LGBTQ progressiveness that you guys have, which I think also tickles the American mind. Who it's not all of them, but a lot of them who would have the money to come here, I think would be like
interesting. Yeah, we do get like again the character of the Irish American tourist does do a full gamut of like the American political spectrum for sure, but I would say leans Republican 100%. So I'm very curious. I'm sure the staff might have some stories to tell. But like, yeah, first country in the world to like legalize gay marriage through popular vote and things like that. So like we have some things to be proud of there. Like this is the other thing about like a lot of this that I think flies in the face of the Irish American identity is that like a lot of the stuff that Irish people are proud of Ireland kind of all happened after they left. It's like even 1916 they'd fucked off by then kind of shit.
It's like when Castro sent over all the degenerate criminals to Miami.
I'm kind of curious about what you can tell me of step number 4, belief, because I'm curious how much they hammed up the Catholicism.
Not much at all, actually.
Or like just the general Christianity.
There was one room that talked about faith, and honestly, I can't even recall now. It was very, very minor. They actually took a lot, and this is, of course, super patty whackery stuff here. They emphasized all of the military service that the Irish did. Sure. That was something that was very...
When? Like which ones?
I'll read it to you.
Okay.
That it was conflict. Although Ireland's small army is now best known for its role in UN peacekeeping missions, I had no idea that personally, but the Irish have a long, proud military history. From Patrick Sarsfield, who led the flight of the wild geese, to Brendan Paddy Finucane, the Spitfire pilot who was the RAF's youngest ever wing commander. Irish soldiers have served with honor in many armies, from the 16th century on, which is like as mercenaries, right?
Like
enlisting in foreign armies was a familiar escape from unrest or poverty at home.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a very, and again, I feel like that's very towards the Americans because like the peacekeeping, the UN peacekeeping thing, like where like Irish UN peacekeepers are being like shot by the Israelis in Lebanon right now, like shit like that. And we're kind of like very proud of that. We're also like a political context happening here is we are very proud of our neutrality. Ireland is incredibly pro its own neutrality. It's like 75% in favor. The most recent president was voted in basically on that. But the media and more establishment politics is really in the pocket of like huge tech arms industry stuff right now and are really trying to like manufacture the consent for us dropping our neutrality. It's like not working, and it's really funny watching how like completely ineffective like these people are as supposedly like political influencers and stuff like that. Because like talking about our involvement in foreign conflicts historically, I think for an Irish audience there's only one that you could bring up that we would in any way feel proud of, which is the amount of people who volunteered to fight against the Nazis, even though we stayed neutral during World War II.
I think it was 250,000.
Yeah, it was pretty substantial. But again, similarly, being in Ireland during the emergency, as it was called back then, was rough. So a lot of them were probably like, it was like, we can't all say like, oh, they're all anti-fascist. They were probably also just like, God, I miss eating pork. There's like a real shortage. Actually, I think we had a surplus. We were sending our pork to the British. Actually, we were trading fuel. There was a shortage of fuel here during World War II, and we were trading fuel from the British, and they were getting our pork. Yeah.
We
don't want to hear about anything from the fucking 16th century.
The other funny thing was they were showing all these accomplished Irish, besides Colin Quinn. There was a whole room for athletes.
Sure.
And my favorite one was they showed a track athlete named Sonia O'Sullivan in 2000 says
Yeah.
Sonia O'Sullivan just misses out on gold at the 2000
Huge.
Olympics in Sydney.
Yeah.
That was big for you guys?
Oh yeah.
Because
Oh
I
yeah.
really, because
She's from Cork. I was living in Cork when that happened. There was just a Cork versus Galway like hurling match happening here. If you were to go out in the street right now and badmouth Sonia O'Sullivan, you would just get beaten to fucking death by a bunch of people in red and white jerseys.
Good to know, because I saw that and I was kind of like, that's funny to like celebrate second place.
We all got to watch it in my in the gym hall in my school when it was happening. When she didn't get the gold, various of the teachers cried, and we got to go home early from school. It was a big deal. I was as soon as you brought up athletes, I was super interested in that, because I think that's, interestingly enough, that's an aspect of diaspora we give zero shits about. I don't think, if you were to ask a bunch of Irish people, name an American actor, comedian, musician of Irish diaspora, famous one, happily. Sports star? None. I'm sure there are plenty Irish Americans who are in American football or whatever.
Conor McGregor?
No, he's Irish, unfortunately.
Irish American, right?
Yeah. In the same way, if you go on the street and say, name a famous American comedian who's Irish American, you'd probably get a lot of Conan O'Brien's. Name an actor. Who would actually be a big one right now that's I don't know if there is any huge ones I can think of off the top.
Daniel Day-Lewis.
Sure. I'll take your word for it. But I don't think anyone at any point in history could tell you an American sports star who was Irish American. Probably because we don't pay attention to your sports.
I mean, I'd say Larry Bird, but that's not true. He was just on the Celtics, so that doesn't count.
Yeah.
That's
also something that rubs us the wrong way.
The Boston Celtics? The Boston
pronouncing
diaspora?
the word Celtic. Celtic.
You can't have everything. What is the general Irish sentiment towards Irish Americans, towards the patty whackers?
We'll take your money. Fuck off now, please.
That's it.
That is, yeah. Generally, yes. I think there is a bristling. So we talked a little bit about the far right and stuff, and I think we'll talk about it again before this episode is over. But there's generally a bristling at the idea of identifying with a nation that you have spent no time in. We really don't like that. I think a lot of Irish people who move abroad, have kids abroad, are very accepting of the fact that my kid's Australian now. They're not Irish. We can always go back. They have a passport, blah, blah, blah. And in the same way that, I said, that there is there is an acceptance of, for example, we have, I think the biggest black community here is of Nigerian descent. We're very accepting of as soon as they sound like they're from Dublin, they're Irish, fuck it. And then the idea of someone coming my great granddad's dog was Irish. We're just what the fuck is this chalk on?
So wait, I can't leave a country for 3,000 years and then come back and say, this is mine.
Well, no, that's a politically sensitive issue, and of course we stand with Israel. I think that is also something realistically what happens with Ireland and Israel and Palestine is just that solidarity was built between the Irish Republicans and the First Intifada and stuff like that. And also with the National Spear, the African National Congress in South Africa. And that kind of built the groundwork for what is just general sympathies towards Palestine. But yeah, also I think that this land was promised to us and we've never been here, but we are from here. Also kind of just not going to play well for again, some guy called even Joseph Biden, that last name's German as fuck. Come on. What do you mean your middle name's Robinette? That would never happen here.
I wonder if you can extend that sentiment to the conservative notion in America that we are European somehow. I think that I hear this saying that our cultural heritage is European.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a little the bad parts for sure. The British parts, absolutely. But like Europe, vaguely like the West, and they want to include now they want to
Yeah.
fucking include like, Greco-Roman bullshit in this whole notion of
Yeah.
like the American like sense of self.
Whereas
And I-
like Greek Americans in New York were being like killed for being too Jewish. Like it's just like in like the 30s. Yeah, it's there was a great article and it was Substack. I've forgotten who wrote it, but their general thesis was that there was their dismantling of the notion of the West, and it was from an angle that I'd not really heard before, which was just like, no, American society is American. Like it is its own thing.
and it's also like no thing at all. I
Yeah.
think that's the toughest part.
They made a fair point to like, there is this kind of aspect of the indigenous shadow that kind of looms over all of America, like the document of confederation or whatever, the first like founding document of the United States is just like taken from the Iroquois. Like ideas of governance were just taken from like obviously people they started killing immediately afterwards, but like there is this like constant Americanness to it, and also kind of like a denial of the other cultures that have like obviously influenced the United States. The United States is very Jewish at a time when Europe was just like, please get rid of all of these Jewish people. Like,
There's a reason why Seinfeld was like the most popular television show of all time.
exactly, yes. And it did not play as well here in favor of Friends, which is also kind of Jewish, but sufficiently Christian.
The Israeli kind.
Yeah.
Big in Israel, Friends is.
But then, like, what are the other examples? Oh, like one other thing about like chicken nuggets are Chinese. Like, is a classic one. Like, it was a Chinese recipe that was originally the person who was making it in the U.S. was approached by McDonald's to sell them the recipe. He said no, and then they just ripped him off. But originally, it's like a Chinese American
Now that's
dish.
American.
Yes.
That's an American quality right there. And so that's the thing. And I have this argument with a friend of mine about how I think there's something. America doesn't have a culture per se. That it is schizophrenic and it's a longing, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that the Irish Americans who continue to identify this way.
Yes. And have scooped up the Scotch Irish.
How do you guys explain it? How do you guys explain this desire to be a part of something that they have no relationship to?
To be honest, I think we do struggle to explain it, which is why we find it alien. Like in general, and why we find it kind of weird, and why we're happy to take your money, but at the same time, just like I don't think we have an answer. The whole thing is just kind of alien to it. Like to put my heart in my sleeve here, my last name is not Irish. I am technically a descendant of like a World War I German refugee. And that's where the last name is. But he married a woman from Clare, and there's like no question that I'm Irish. And there's like, and the idea that I would ever call myself German Irish is like perverse. That's something just does not fly in this society at all. It probably has to for racism reasons. Like I think regardless of how many generations you are in, Afro-Irish is probably going to stick around for someone of like African descent, unfortunately. But like we just find the idea of like the hyphenated nationality very strange. And we can't explain it, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, we're just happy to take your money. It's really no questions asked, I think, is we don't really interrogate it. But the thing about it that I'd say is quite welcoming about an Irish people is, despite the Chad Dipley's insistence, he's just going to be a character in this episode, insistent that he is Irish even though he's never lived here, if he moves here and lives here for X number of years, we'll happily call him Irish. And that's not like your blood did not give you a bonus, like a person who is not of Irish descent moving here. Like it's national, like we do view nationality and culture as being intertwined. And when you start doing kind of Irishisms, we're like, you're welcome. Like,
And there's this weird obsession with like people will say it's epigenetics, but I think that that's a misnomer. That there's some sort of DNA, like Irish DNA, that makes you act or behave in a particular kind of way.
Mm.
And I'm always just very like, that just sounds ridiculous to me. And yeah, I like the notion that like there is no like necessarily like Irish interiority. There's only like you live in Ireland and you experience what the rest of us experience together.
Yes.
Whereas, so the Americans, I explain our desire to belong elsewhere is because there's not really a thing to belong to in America. Because we're so hyper individualized.
Yeah.
That we need some sort of story to tell, because the real stories, and we've always told bullshit stories about Thanksgiving and winning World War I and World War II and all.
Do you really talk about World War One?
No. But we do talk about World War II a lot.
Yeah.
And how we won that bitch, even though we came for the last 9 months.
Yeah.
But there is this need to it's not enough to like rule the world, and benefit from the like resource and financial extraction.
Yeah.
We need some other fucking thing to hold on to, because it's not enough to have everything.
So there's two things that I'd want to bring up at this point. First, very quick question, and another reason why I think a lot of Irish people will bristle at Irish Americanness. Is Barack Obama Irish American? That is a question that I think a lot of Irish Americans would say no to. And we know why. He is of Irish descent as much as any of them are.
If he just put the apostrophe in the O.
And it's like, one of the things that I think as like a modern Irish person in Ireland that I find upsetting with the Irish American identity is how aggressively white it is, when at the same time in Ireland as a political project, a lot of us are just like, we need to welcome in, like, and understand that our modern Ireland is also not all white. Like there are, I went to a pretty poor secondary school, and thus it was a lot of like asylum seekers who were my classmates from Nigeria, Philippines, things like that. And they are Irish. And like, I don't think anyone who knew them personally would question that. It works for the far right when they can abstract these people. But like, it's very hard to, it's a very awkward and disgusting dance that Ireland as a society, or as a nation rather, it's a political thing, has to play, where we have to say, yes, you are Irish to Chad Dipley, take his money at the Epic Museum, and condone and justify, legitimize his Irish Americanness, fully knowing that his definition of what Irish is very narrow and is one that we cannot accept at home. So that is one that I like always find really awful when dealing with Irish Americans, is that like you would not include half the people I would call Irish in my neighborhood. Then another thing that I find is something that I've dealt with the Continentals, and I talk about mostly in Cornish Beatty, is European understanding of culture. And I also think what America is kind of grasping at as well, and why America kind of has this chip on his shoulder about culture, which is a lot of the main Europeans, British, the big dogs, the British, the French, the Germans, the Italians, the Spanish as well, will display their culture as this very ancient thing. Italian culture is this, look at this Colosseum and stuff like that. When I would argue, no, that's bullshit, and like it's a complete fucking lie, and you know it's a lie. It's why I big up on my show and why I've always been such a huge fan of Eurovision, at the Eurovision Song Contest. Like, no, shut up about your ancient recipes and ancient architecture. This is Europe. Like, this is what we
sucks
actually
too,
like.
dude. It sucks so much.
Or like what I would call Eurodance, what Americans would call jock jams, which all came from like Belgium and Germany.
Yeah, those are good though.
Yeah, those
actually.
are good. And also probably the example of like a pan-European culture that was forward-looking, featured a lot of like Black Europeans as well, as a for instance, and was just like, this is music of now, this is music of the future. It does not evoke this ancient cultural thing. And I also think there's something that's quite nice about Irish culture is that it is also quite modern. After this, we're getting a spice bag. Spice bags were invented like 2004.
I'm very excited to feel like shit.
Yeah. And like a lot of this Irish cultural like heritage will be like, remember this bullshit that happened on telly a couple of years ago? Like, yeah, I do remember that.
So it's not river dancing.
Riverdance, yeah, but again, that is also from the 90s. Like,
wait, you're telling me you guys weren't doing that 3,000 years ago?
We weren't. Like, unfortunately, Michael Flatley did kind of come in and like up the game a little bit. Irish dance has been like, or we can just go into like Eric Hobsbawm's like invention of tradition. Like, it's all usually a bit of bullshit of like what it actually means, and we kind of lie about it. The first carbonara recipe was recorded in Chicago, and the Italians will come and try and kill you if you tell them that. Or all the a classic example, all the Italian American, like the Americans got the right idea. Their land invasion of Italy, the entire platoons are going to be Italian Americans. They have a little bit of Italian. The Italians will maybe feel less occupied if it's Italian Americans coming in. And they're all sending letters back home like, hey, ma, there's no pizzerias. I've walked from like Naples up to Rome. I haven't seen one fucking pizzeria. And it's right. Before like the 40s, it was regional cuisine. Like most Italians had never eaten a pizza.
Italian food before the tomato was not good.
I do want to try a pre-Columbian lasagna. It looks fucking wild. There's cinnamon in it.
It does. So I guess the way I would explain it again is, I think that it comes from self-loathing. I think it's a subconscious self-loathing of Americans, because I think that even if we don't know our full history, I think deep down we know it's bad. We know there's something deeply wrong with us.
Yeah. Whereas I'd say my antidote to that, because you also have to do this with the Germans, because their history is also bad. The antidote to that, I think, for everyone is you have very little connection to history. Any historical tradition that people would claim, or any kind of like Judeo-Christian values that Ben Shapiro would talk about, is all fabricated hokum. Like, that is not real. What is real is now. Like, me and my co-host Nick's like chat on Instagram is me just sending him what I call America vibes. Of like things that can only really happen in America, they are happening now, and they're kind of sick. Like, they're just kind of cool in a very stupid and silly way.
Can you give me an example?
I can't. I might have to just like look through the chat. Hand me my phone. Sorry. I might have to just like look through the chat to see if I can.
Because I'm very curious. Because I mean, I don't think this has been a relatively positive episode. Usually, my episodes are much bigger bummers. But I do. Apologies to all of my Irish hyphenated American listeners if I am upsetting you in your sense of self, but I find it very frustrating, and I do think that it's something that Americans need to come to greater terms with.
Yeah,
because that is the kind of fascism, right? I guess because the people look back to the 1950s, post World War II America.
The
that's
white
like
picket fence.
Yeah, but that's not enough, right? They keep trying to go back further, and obviously America that doesn't really have a golden age, and the most recent golden age, those people are still alive today, and so it doesn't really comport. It doesn't make sense, and so that's why they have to reach back to the idyllic, peaceful, pure, like homelands that they came from, as though there's no reason why they came
Oh.
here in the first place.
Every American tourist that comes back to the European country of their origin is expecting a white Disneyland. Like 100%. It
Yeah,
is.
so when they come here and they see that it's it's not white.
We have a substantial Brazilian population. We love them. You should have seen this city when Bolsonaro got like unelected.
Oh, they were happy.
It was popping
That's
off. It was
awesome.
great.
Because I'm trying to put myself in the mind of an Irish American, a Chad Dipley. Sorry, Chad.
Yeah, Chad Dipley.
If I'm Chad Dipley. It's my first time in Ireland. I'm walking around and I'm seeing all these black and brown people, and I can't. In Chad Dipley's like narcissistic, moronic sense of self, he's like, I'm more Irish than they are, right? I belong here more than they do, and probably treats them with a sense of disdain and envy.
So I'm trying to go through here. Like I'm just looking through this. I think one positive example I can see here is a guy who just like attached two e-scooters to a sofa and is just like driving around New York with a drunk guy that he just picked up who's just like literally pissing himself. And actually, do you know what? Here's a good example. Like something that I found recently is just the headline: "The What the Fuck Is Up Denny's band drops a new burger with Denny's." If you remember, there was like a teenage
Dan that play, yeah, they dropped a burger in,
and that's like, this is this thing. Like, I think there's this attempt to look for a culture that's historic, when really I think the beauty is right here in the modernity. Like
I don't know about that, but okay.
I think that like this is great. Are you kidding me? The What the Fuck Is Up Denny's band? That really like, because the other side of it is like that we'll talk about in Cornish Beatty quite a bit is that like America is responsible, like the whole, I've heard this before of like oh, what's the difference between LA and a yogurt? Yogurt has culture. Like I've heard that joke made by other Americans, and I get that there is this hollowness and vapidness to LA as like Hollywood or whatever, but it's also like, this is where all your fucking culture comes from. America has made a lot of very successful modern culture. You don't need history. Like, I really just don't think you do. Like, I think a lot of what Ireland has going for it is also incredibly modern. Like I said, a lot of the stuff that like Irish people are proud of happened post the famine. The famine is a hell of a fucking backdrop to all of it. Like, there's no 1916 Rising without the famine. But like that, the neutrality is relatively recent. The food that we enjoy eating is relatively recent.
Really good food in Ireland, I gotta say. I'm shocked by how good the food is here.
Silver lining about being Britain's agricultural bitch is that we know how to grow food. For the longest time, our solution to cooking it was boil it for 6 hours. But we've and again, going into Ireland's kind of like whiteness, another thing is like the other kind of non-white population, which are like South Asians, mostly Pakistani and Indian, have been here since independence, some of whom fought for our independence. And it's like, yeah, you can't tell that to Irish Americans. Really good Indian food here. Yeah, so it's this thing of like, we enjoy our modernity, I think is my takeaway. And that is the basis of culture. There is a lot of historical culture that we pull to, but everyone likes the modern trad bands that they're viewing now. Is like our historic culture is still kind of engaged with in a modern sense. I think that's a huge thing. Like I think you're kind of psychotic if you're talking about like trad music that you really enjoy that happened like 200 years before you were born. That's not true. You enjoy the trad, like if you enjoy trad music now, you enjoy the trad music that was made at the earliest 60s. Like it just continued on as a genre. And I think most people in Dublin really enjoyed like that period in the 60s, 70s where like trad music merged with like the rock music at the time, the kind of like same space that like U2 kind of grew up in. Who do I think of? Like Horselips would be like a great band like that, or like the Dubliners, and shit like that. Even like Thin Lizzy has some like jigs and reels in it. And that's the kind of stuff that we really enjoy. Like, I genuinely think just like America, I think it's a very like, I do agree with you. It's kind of like a fascistic impulse to want and have this great history that you can pull from. But I would say there is no need to do that. You should have and embrace a modern culture. You should not deny what your country is now. Being Irish now includes a lot of people who are not white, not Catholic, not Christian, whatever. And like, don't pretend like if you're already inherently ashamed of that, you already have bigger problems, I guess. Yeah, so it's just embrace the stupid shit that's happening now. Also, because the fascists hate that. Like, do you think Ben Shapiro likes the "What the fuck is up, Denny's" band? Like, that's
well, are they Jewish?
That's also another huge problem for like the American conservative is like, particularly like I'm thinking of Ben Shapiro's like, you know, rant against "Wet Ass Pussy" as a song, right? Is like Americans inside of America don't understand that their most successful cultural exports are overwhelmingly black. Like just the whole world over, whether it was jazz in the 30s and 40s or hip hop and rap now, it's just aggressively black, or it's Justin Timberlake kind of being a little bit black with his music. Like, yeah.
That's very hard for Chad Dipley to accept.
Yes, absolutely.
So, okay, let's say to all the other Chad Dipleys out there.
Mm-hmm. Chad's Dipley. I think
Chad's
is the plural.
Diply.
Diply.
If you're going to come to Ireland, which honestly, I think people should. I think it's a beautiful country. What's the appropriate way to come to Ireland?
Again, I think it would be like engage with it as a modern and real place. I think this is a universal for any kind of tourism. Try to acknowledge that people live and struggle in any city or town you visit, regardless of where that is. That's universal tourism advice. And think of it as a real and complex place rather than, you know, the white Disneyland you were expecting or whatever. And I think really the only material advice is like, don't do Airbnb, please. That's just like just ruining this country. Please, like a hotel at best, a hostel.
Stay in a hotel where the dumpsters are right outside your window and you hear it closing, open.
Or do like, at the very least, do an
With
Airbnb.
a chaise-longue.
I love the chaise-longue. At least do like one of those Airbnbs where you're actually like living with the people who like own the house or whatever, rather than like
keypad that will...
Yeah, none of the keypad shit or like...
Airbnbs fucking suck. Yeah. I don't really know what else to tell people.
I really liked it in the early days. I did like, me and my wife did 3 weeks in Croatia, and all the tourism guides for Croatia were just like, Croatia has a tradition of like letting people into their homes. And sure enough, when we did Airbnb, it was just like, here's our spare room. We'll hang outside. We'll feed you tiramisu at night. Kind of shit. Every Croatian's like, we do Italian food better. We're right here. And that was good. And I believe also like the founder of Airbnb, who like left the company ages ago, like this was always the intent of Airbnb. It was like you would get to like...
Oh, it wasn't some person leveraging their the one home that their family owns to buy 10 other Airbnbs with the promise that there's just pure profit from here. A passive income.
Yeah.
A passive kind of income.
Okay.
The
podcasters panic.
Well, Kieran, thank you so much for being on the show.
Nah.
I think if you enjoyed this, you should definitely listen to Cornish Beatty. If you have any European ancestry, they'll tell you what's actually going on in your homelands.
Leave this cursed... Hey, it's where everything good from the 20th century happened and everything bad from the 20th century happened, all in one little package. Cornish Beatty, operationglad.io. We have a Patreon. We have like 2 episodes a week when, you know, the weather isn't 40 degrees plus and baking all of our co-hosts alive. Come listen to us talk about like the air conditioning debate. Of course, the American solution. Here's another culturally American thing. The solution to any crisis is to buy more and consume more. You should all just get air conditioning. It's like, no, that will have consequences.
No, it makes it colder. That's how you solve global warming.